Welcome to Kimbo Curiosity, and the curiosity today is taking pork belly and making bacon. That's right, homemade bacon. In my previous video, I showed you my smoker and that I have done pork belly to make bacon, and that's what I'm showing you today is how I have taken the pork belly and smoked it into bacon. First of all, we need to make a curing mixture, and then over a course of 7 days let it cure, and after that you take it and you put it on the smoker and cook it until it gets to 155 degrees Fahrenheit. Without further ado, I'm going to make one slab maple bacon. The other slab I'm going to make with sweet soya, and one of the things that I forget to do is record my experiments and what's done right and what's done poorly. So far, I have to say, none of my bacon has come out bad or taste differently. It's just, I've been playing around trying to figure out what the best way, the best flavor, and each time it has been different, and I haven't recorded the results because I've been experimenting along the way, and that's one of my bad habits. Without any information, it's hard to know what you did right and what needs improvement on. If you're planning on doing that and experimenting, then I recommend making sure you record your results. That way, when you start eating your bacon, you find out what you like and what you don't like. One of the recipes that I'm going to show here is I make ghost pepper bacon. That's right, ghost pepper bacon. Delicious. I like it. My wife, not so much. So she's not doesn't like hot things, so I have to tone it down a bit and match where both are. It's enough hotness for myself, but not too hot for my wife. One of the other things that I've experimented with and I've got from another YouTuber was sweet soya and on bacon, and I'm telling you, it's just as good as maple bacon. Another one is pepper bacon. And I don't know if I'm going to do that today or not, but we shall see, because it's how I feel or whatever, how I feel like doing something. Without further ado, we will open up this cryovac and start from the beginning. One of the things you want to do is look at your pork belly and trim off any excess fat you think you might have. Some pork belly will have the skin on or the skin off. There's been different arguments on the internet whether skin on or skin off is, when you smoke it, is better. I tried one with skin on and the rest skin off, and unfortunately I didn't record which one had the skin on. And I can say right now, I don't think I noticed a difference in taste in either one in regards to the smoke taste. However, I can't tell you because it didn't get recorded on the packaging. Okay, let's open this up. Now these are pretty big slabs. One of the things you will need is large plastic bags to put your curing material in, and the slab of bacon, because you're going to, like I said, switch it over each day, so each side gets a chance to get cured and get covered with the curing sauce. So if it's not big enough, you'll have to cut it in half. I've had to do that a few times because we end up seemingly get larger size pork belly. So like I said, the skin's been taken off. You take a look and see if you want to trim off any fat. I see a little bit of excess fat here, but not too much, but we will trim it down a bit on this one. We'll put this one over here for now, and we'll take a look at this one. Let's take a look here, and I'm going to do a quick slice. Take off some excess fat. You don't want too much fat, but you don't want to take a lot of fat off either, because that's taking fat off. That's the big thing about the bacon. It's the fat. Yes, delicious fat. Now you can keep this here and the fat, and then slice it up and put it into hot oil and make cracklings Some people have done it. I've yet to try that. You can freeze this until such time as you want to make cracklings. Make sure you have a nice sharp knife. It will help with trimming. And as you can see, there's a dip here on this bacon, so you don't want to, you want to do a fairly decent job, but you don't want to get down and take all the fat off. You just, do a trim, a little bit of a slice here, ridge, much of the meat off. So this is where it comes in for yourself to trim it up a bit. It's up to you how much you want. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. It's not a requirement. It's just that some people like not a lot of fat on their bacon, and it's up to you. Make it your own. That's what homemade bacon's all about. Now, one of the things I want to do here is I want to make sure it fits in the bag, because the bag is where the brine is going to be in there so that it's gets cured, the curing brine. And this, like I said, you can freeze it, save it, slice it up, and then put it into your deep fryer and make crackling. Yeah, it's a little bit of excess fat there. So this is a problem because this is not squared up. So there's a lot of meat here, but there's a little bit less fat here, or more fat here. So do a couple of trims along here to try to make it palatable for some people. But at the same time, if you're slicing, you gotta, what I'm gonna probably do is cut this in half and then put it in my slicer. Whether we cut it this way or cut it this way. Okay, I've taken the other couple of slabs and trimmed them out and got the fat off as much as I wanted. Again, it's your choice of how you want to trim it. Some people, if you watch on YouTube, are really picky about it. I'm not too picky about it, and over the course of the 3 times I've tried this, I don't find too much of an issue in regards to how you want to take off the excess fat. But you will have to, because there are some areas that have a little large fat deposit on one side, and you don't want that much fat. So trim that off. If you want to leave more on or take more off, that's up to you. That's your preference. Next, I'm going to make the brine, and there's going to be a number of types that I'm going to use. One of them is going to be the maple brown sugar. I'm going to try for the first time a whiskey flavored type bacon. Sweetened soya is another one that I'm going to do. I've done it in the past. I really like it. It tastes really good. And ghost pepper bacon. That's right, ghost pepper. I get fresh ghost peppers grounded up from a friend of mine. He grows them on a vine here, and that's what I use. And again, depending on your taste buds and how much you want hot, will be dependent on how much you put in. I find mild is maybe half a tablespoon, half a teaspoon. If you want to go hotter, I would say maybe 3 teaspoons. Be careful not to overdo it, because it's really hot, and it's surprisingly how little this will make it hot. So if you really like it hot, then go to town, as they say. Now these are a larger size slab than what some of the recipes call for, and I need a pen because I want to make sure I record what I'm doing, because every time I've done this, I've done it different ways. And there's some inconsistencies that I want to try to correct. Now, I tend to put less salt than what the recipe calls for. I don't use a lot of salt in my life, and having excess or the salt that is recommended makes sometimes the bacon too salty. So I cut back a little bit on the salt. Also, I use kosher salt. You really want to use the kosher salt because it's a bigger grain, and it's great for brining your products. I use it for all my brining of my meats. The other thing is, again, this is your choice, is I use what they call Prague powder #1 or pink salt or I can't remember the other name for it. Anyways, it's non-iodized salt. It's nitrates, basically what it is. And you use a very little amount on this. Now, there are some people that do not want nitrates in their food and in their curing and everything else. That is fine. But if you don't put the nitrates in, then be aware that you cannot leave the bacon out for an extended period of time. You need to freeze it, and then when you take it out of the freezer, use it up as quickly as possible. It will not stay fresh in the fridge for very long. The prog powder #1 and the pink, it's the same thing. Prog powder #1, pink salt, not Himalaya pink salt. Pink salt is what you want. The reason it's pink is to define it against regular salt. It is a nitrate type substance, and too much of it is not good for you. A little bit amount is. The reason we put this in here in your curing is for to keep the bacteria out of the bacon. If you don't use the curing salt or the prog powder or the pink salt, then you will get a more of a grayish color with your bacon instead of the pink color you see in some of the bacon. I know you'll go to the store and they'll say nitrates free, which is kind of a misnomer in regards to what they say there. They use what they call celery type salt, which has natural nitrates in it. So you're still getting nitrates, but in from a different product. Now again, I'm not an expert on this, so do your research on that, please. Again, it's your choice. It doesn't matter. I always use it because I like the pink color, and also there's just the two of us, and we liked our bacon, and we take packages out and we let it sit, of course, over a couple of weeks. If we didn't use this, then we'd have to use the bacon up within a couple days or a week. There's been inconsistency of how long a smoked bacon that hasn't been used with nitrates, how long it will last, but a week is the maximum. That's why you freeze most of it. And I still freeze all this, by the way. I still freeze it after it's done, but I take it out and it sits in the fridge a lot longer. So I'm going to use 3/4 cup. I like a lot more maple bacon, or maple bacon, a lot more maple in my bacon. I put that in there. Also, just to let you know that when you're using this, the maple bacon tends to cook, starts cooking, and you're looking like, oh yeah, it's going to be okay, and you walk away and come back, and then all of a sudden all the edges are burnt. That's because the maple that's in there gets drawn out and all of a sudden crystal caramelizes and starts burning. Now I've decided to try something new. This is Demerara style brown sugar instead of the regular brown sugar. I'm going to give this a try to see how it is in regards to being on the bacon. It's supposed to be a little bit more crispier when it gets on the bacon, so I'm wondering it'll give it a nice sheen and texture on top. I don't know. It's the first time I'm going to try that. I want to make sure I record that the first slab, and we want a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Now, they recommend that when you do the measurement that you have an equal amount of salt to the equal amount of sugar. And again, like I said, I use less salt because I don't like the saltiness that can happen in regards to the brining sequence. But don't cheap out on the salt because that is part of your curing, is the salt in the recipe. I know what I forgot because food safe is important. I got to put on my nitrile gloves. I didn't touch anything other than a bit of the brown sugar, so not too bad. It's gonna, you don't want to, if you're going to be giving this to people, you want to make sure you're safe and everything else. I'm making it for myself, so it's not a big deal. But because I'm doing a YouTube video, I want to make sure you see that I'm being food safe. Alrighty. Salt. Now, like I said, they say equal number of salts. Oh, I forgot. This is a bigger slab. Forgot about that. So I'm going to add a little bit more brown sugar. There we go. Probably just over a quarter cup. I'm going to add a little bit more maple syrup. I added 3/4, so I want to add maybe a little bit more, just, yeah, there we go, just over. This part is a guess because of the large slab. It's up to you. Hey, go to town. Now, some of the recipes will ask, say, put water in. I have, on certain recipes, I have added water to my maple. It depends on how much I'm making here and how big the slab is. So now I'm going to measure my nitrate, prog powder number 1, pink salt, not Himalayan salt, by the way, not Himalayan pink salt. That is not the same as pink salt. Again, the reason it's called pink salt is that it differentiates it from regular salt because it's a non-iodizing salt. It's nitrates. Prog powder number 1, Instacure is another name for it. Yeah. And be careful when you do buy the nitrate packages, not to mix it up with your regular salt. So because it's 2.8 grams, this is 3 grams per kilogram. Sorry, it was 2.6, so just 3 grams per kilogram. The other thing you need to do is to wash down your bacon or pork belly. It's not bacon until it's been smoked. Wash down your pork belly and then pat dry. I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what I'm doing next. Okay, I rinsed off the pork belly, patted it down, and now ready to cover it with the brine. But I've noticed a couple of things. I missed a couple of spots. Don't hesitate to go back and correct trim some more stuff off if you need to at this time. Not a big deal. It's not going to hurt anything. I'm just noticing a few loose points of fat that could cause an issue when we're going to cook it and slice it. Now the fun part. You coat over your pork belly. Make sure you kind of stir things up again because it's going to settle out a bit here while you were busy doing stuff. You want to make sure everything's back into suspension instead of settling out. And then you give it a, throw it on top here like this. And then you spread it out and you make sure you cover it all over the areas. Like so. Product continues. If you're taking a break, mix it up a bit more. Make sure it gets spread around. Now, if you have to make up, for whatever reason you figure that you made a mistake and didn't put enough material into your or ingredients in, don't hesitate to remake it. That's all right. Now, as you can see, I'm spreading it around with my, making sure it gets all over. Now, you're going to put this in, like I said, you're going to put this in a plastic bag and you're going to turn it around every day, back and forth for 7 days. You won't, some of the recipes say 5 days. I definitely would say go 7 days. It doesn't, again, just rub it in. You don't have to put a lot on it because you're going to put the whole amount in the bag and you're going to eventually get it covered anyways. But you want to, just get it lightly coated, pat it in, and then you're going to flip it over. Now, it doesn't matter which side you do first. I just happen to have it, the meat side up instead of the skin side up. Go like that. Spread it out. This is going to be really delicious when you're done. You'll be so happy if you got a smoker. You don't even need a smoker. You can use your barbecue and put wood chips in, whether it's natural gas or propane or briquettes. You know, just throw a little bit of smoke chips on, and then, you know, make sure it's a 225 is all you need for temperature. And then you just monitor the temperature of the meat. And that'll be the upcoming part of the video later on. I'm going to show you how I cook it. I'm not going to, you know, bore you with showing you doing this a second time or third time. When I get to the ghost pepper, I will do that one. You want to do this portion over the sink because it can get messy when you're trying to put in large slabs into the large bags. Usually I have an assistant to help me while I'm doing this. Unfortunately, my assistant is kind of busy right now, so I'm going to try to do it myself. It can be done, a little bit difficult, but it can be done. I'm just going to get the pork rind here, or pork rind, sorry, pork belly. Bring it over here. Now you to get your large bag ready, you open it up. You take your pork belly that you've got, slide it into the bag as best you can. And this is where the messy part is, because you're going to get some of the stuff along the edge of the bag. You're going to have to clean that up after. Next, you probably want to get some of this material or the ingredients that you use on there into the, yeah, see, it's not working well. Okay, so this is where my helper would be nice. Okay, we're going to put this over here for now while I grab my other device. We're going to see if I can do it this way. There we go. Like I said, there's different ways to do things. A second set of hands will be nice. But make sure you grab your material that your ingredients that you slathered on, if you're using it, to scrape them in. You might as well use them up while they're there instead of washing them down the sink. This is what I do. Now again, you don't have to do that. That's your choice. You know, I just like to make sure I use every last ounce of the ingredients that I made. I really like to ensure that everything I use is utilized. Right, so that's what I said. And then you seal this up. And then clean the outside. Put it on a rack or something so that if the bag does leak, I found a couple of bags end up leaking on me. So I had the roasting pans or the cookie sheets as a storage, so that if it does leak, it's not getting all over your fridge. And you leave it in the fridge, and every day you flip it back and forth. What you'll see next is me making the other ingredients, but you will not see the rest of this. Hope it was useful for you. The next one is sweet soya, brown sugar, and some salt. This one, depending on how thick it is, I will add some water to it just so that it gets coating on it. You can try maple syrup with it, but you're adding two kind of sweets to your bacon, so you're going to overpower it. Trust me, you will not regret if you use sweet soya. This is Kecap. I'm sorry if I'm messing up the name. It's a delicacy from Indonesia, but I tell you, it is, oh, I just love it. Again, ketchup mayos. Anyways, I apologize for messing up the name if I did. You can, like I said, you can add maple syrup, but I find when I did that, you had a mixture of flavors. So this on its own is delicious. Trust me, give it a one-time try if you do this. Again, I've been guessing how much to put in because I couldn't find a recipe that gave me the consistency. So I just basically took the maple syrup or maple bacon, brown sugar and the salt, and then added this and just picked where I thought was enough. But do whatever you want with your bacon. The main ingredients is salt and brown sugar. Now, you don't have to use brown sugar. You can use cane sugar. You could use white sugar if you wish. It's up to you. But I prefer brown sugar. That's my choice. So this is the consistency that you're going to see when you add the sweet soya and the brown sugar to it. That's about how I like it. A little liquidy, soupy. And if it's, you know, this is perfect consistency every time that I've done it. Every time the light's not quite good with me trying to, let's see if we can, oh, camera's not. There we go, that's better. So this is the consistency. You just want it sticky and not too runny. And it's perfect. Now, I've done this a couple of times where I've forgotten the prog powder and then have to put it in after. If you're going to use your nitrate, prog powder, pink salt, or whatever, you want to make sure you put it in before you coat your pork belly, because then you don't know if your pork belly is getting the pink salt consistently across it. Okay, I have forgotten and then have to guess and try to make sure it gets even Steven. I haven't had an issue in regards to that. Anyways, we will move to the next stage and coat this. I don't have to show you, and I'll bring you back for the next mixture. The next one up is the ghost pepper. I call this my sweet and spicy bacon. What I do is I'm going to use maple syrup, brown sugar, maple syrup, brown sugar, kosher salt, and then some ghost pepper. I do add a little bit of water to make sure that the ghost pepper flakes get spread out evenly to make it more liquidy than normal. I will let you, we go through this, and I usually, it's by judgment of how liquidy I want it. And now, the coup de grace, the ghost pepper. Now I gotta be careful because every time I do this, to get a whiff of it, I start coughing. Okay, I gotta make sure my teaspoon and not tablespoon. 1, 2 and a half. 2.5. Spicy, but not too spicy. Go 3, 4. Do whatever you want if you want it really hot. Okay, I'm going to sneeze. I can seal it. Get my spatula here to mix it up. Actually, you know what? I made a boo-boo. This is not a full slab. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This will be too hot. Oh well, we're gonna go for it. I can guarantee you my wife will not eat this. Hey, you only live once, as I say. Completely forgot that this was a smaller slab. So I would recommend for a 3-pound slab, 1.5 teaspoons of ghost pepper if you want to give it a little kick, but not overwhelmingly. I'll let you know how this goes because I put 3 and a bit. Now I'm going to add some water, and I will cover this slab here of pork belly, and then I'll be back for the whiskey flavored bacon. My wife cracked a funny one. She didn't want to overshadow me in my video about making bacon. So the next step I'm going to do is the whiskey maple. So I got here a Canadian whiskey, tripled oak. In actual fact, going to my Hungarian roots, this was actually in tight French oak, red wine barrels, and dry fruit and chestnut notes, and finally with Hungarian oak to deliver flavor. So, to my Hungarian roots. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, again, this is approximately 5 pounds that I've got over here. It's a little bit thicker on one side than the other. Wasn't cut very good, but hey, who's to complain when it... No, my wife says it's 4 pounds. I thought you said it was 5 pounds. Okay, it's 4 pounds. My mistake. Oh, he's sitting there holding up signs and going like this. Ah! 1 cup of this wonderful whiskey. Not allowed to drink on YouTube. There we go. And then of course, your choice, the Prague powder, pink salt. Remember, not Himalayan pink salt, pink salt. Once that is done and I put that in, I'll mix it all up and I'm going to put that in the bag. And again, because I shown the previous first one of exactly what it's all the same, you don't need to be here. So the next step will be for 7 days, turning these over each day for 7 days and then bringing them out and smoking them on my smoker. That is going to come up next after 7 days. So after editing the video, I've decided that this is where I would do a break and then show another video on the smoking aspect of it. So if you liked what you saw so far, hit the like button down below. If you have any questions or queries about what was mentioned here, don't hesitate to ask it in the comment section below and I will get back to you. Hope you enjoyed the video so far and stay tuned for the second part. Take care and peace out.